We all know how stuck, polarised and divisive Britain's current political setup is. And what we don't have is a clear, shared vision of where Britain is going internally within our borders. Now, this book provides such a vision, but one that comes from the ground and is rooted in our history, as well as what is happening around the country today. So the book's offering a view that is not tinkering with the current political setup. It's starting from something far more fundamental, as this quote from Daisaku Ikeda expresses. Our times are moving unmistakably at the deepest level towards a focus on human beings and humanism. And what he means by humanism is something genuinely coming from people's lives. The book weaves its way between looking at Britain itself in various ways and what each of us can do. Reading it, you get a big picture and you get to relate as a person. And the two opening quotes of the last chapter, I think, express this kind of this double aspect of the book quite well. Talking about the big picture, Frederick Laloux says, "The environment we operate in determines much of our innate potential. The environment we operate in determines how much of our innate potential we can manifest." But then, as Darren McGarvey points out, many of the conditions of my life began to change when I got less offended by the truth. Some of my problems are mine to solve. The new frontier for individuals and movements who want to radically change society is first to recognize the need for radical change within ourselves. So another way that you might say this is we're free to some extent. And what I show is that the most radical thing we can do is change our consciousness. The Britain Potential takes you into 5 very different consciousness people today in Britain have, and argues for the one that is the next stage of human consciousness. This can become the foundation not just of me realizing far more of my potential, but of the country doing so too. So here is the second thread running through the book. Chapter 7 shows how the state and civil society both supported the expansion of trade and commerce in the Industrial Revolution. Then there was a seismic shift, a big shift, after the war to a country centered on the state, which was then influencing business and civil society. That's welfare state Britain. And then in 1980, market thinking got put in the center, and a third seismic shift took place. And that's the one we're living with today, that kind of operating system. Each of these shifts was powered by consciousness, and that consciousness both reflected and shaped the consciousness of substantial numbers of us in the population. And what the book shows is that a fourth seismic shift in the power relationships between the state, civil society and business is in process, and that the next stage of human consciousness that is there in many people's lives is also beginning to shape a civil society Britain, a Britain where civil society is at the centre, supported by the state and business. And this is a Britain realising far more potential. This is not wishful thinking. The book is also very practical. It explores the idea that for every single one of us, we have our own unique ecology of support for realising our potential. What I mean is that we will be developing our inner world, the self. We will have family and friends offering us support. We may be part of a network or community. If we're in an organisation, others there are a potential source of support. And even our politics is implicated in each of us being able to realise more potential. So I look at real life examples of family support based on the dominant consciousness, which stifles potential, and then give examples based on next stage consciousness, which shows how much better they work. I do this for communities, organisations, and even our politics. I construct a next stage of human consciousness politics, which has its roots in actual developments. So this book is really going to change how you see Britain. And you're going to read some great stories, engage with some wonderfully insightful ideas, and be encouraged to take matters into your own hands and become part of the Britain Potential.